Okay, so in this video, we're going to talk about multiplying and dividing fractions. Now, we've already actually talked a little bit about multiplying fractions, so I'm going to quickly go through that in this first part of the video. Okay, so multiplying fractions. So to recall, remember that when we multiply fractions, we multiply straight across. So numerator with numerator, denominator with denominator. So this means if we have an example like this, so 3/4 times 5/6, this will end up being 5 times 3 over 4 times 6. So this will give us 15 over 24. Okay. Now we can also try to simplify our problem. So we can simplify our answer. Okay, and so I noticed that 15 and 24, right? Those are both numbers that are in the multiples of 3. So I could go one step further and I can divide the top and bottom by 3. So again, I'm dividing it by a fraction of 1. So 15 divided by 3 would give us 5, and 24 divided by 3 would give us 8. Okay, so 15 over 24 is our answer, but this is our simplified answer. So I do want you guys to start getting into the habit of always trying to simplify your fractions to the best of our ability. Okay. Now, not all fractions can be simplified. So if we take a look at example number 2, right? 7's a prime number, 3 is also a prime number. So neither one of those numbers is 2 or 5. So when I multiply these together, so 7 times 3 all over 2 times 5, this will just be 21 over 10. And again, for right now, you can leave them as an improper fraction. If we want, we can change this into a mixed number. So remember, for a mixed number, we would divide the 10 into the 21. 10 goes into 21 2 times, leaving you with a remainder of 1. So again, this would be the same thing as saying 2 and 1/10. Again, unless I say specifically to change it to a mixed number, we can always leave it as an improper fraction. Okay, so these are just regular old fractions that we're multiplying. We can also multiply mixed numbers. So again, let's just recall how to multiply our mixed numbers. Right, so the biggest thing to remember, so multiplying mixed numbers. Before we can multiply mixed numbers, we need to change them into improper fractions, right? So this is the most important part, right? So remember to change an improper fraction. So 1 and 1/3, right? You're going to multiply 1 times 3, which gives you 3, and then you're going to add that extra 1 to it. So that's where we get that 4, and then 2 and 1/3. So the first thing you would do is you multiply 2 times 3, which gives you 6, and then 6 plus 1 gives you 7. So now we can multiply straight across. So 4 times 7 gives us that 28. 3 times 3 gives us that 9. And again, we can leave it as an improper fraction, which would be perfectly fine here, or we can change it to a mixed number. Usually if it's written as a mixed number to begin with, we'll replace that also with a mixed number. So let's try one more with mixed numbers. Okay, so we're going to multiply the whole number 2 times 5, which gives us 10, and then I'll add 1, which gives us 11. So this will be the same thing as saying 11 over 5. And then notice that the 5 can also be rewritten as a fraction, 5 over 1. Now notice that we have 5s on the top and on the bottom, so things are going to be able to simplify here, but we'll say 11 times 5, which gives us 55. 5 times 1 is 5, and 5 over 50, or 55 over 5 does simplify down to just plain old 11, and that's our answer. Okay, so like I said, we've been pretty good about multiplying fractions. Now, dividing fractions is another story. Okay, so let's talk about dividing fractions. What does it mean to divide fractions? Well, the first thing we have to do is kind of know some vocabulary. And one of those vocabulary is we're going to invert our fraction, aka we're going to call it the reciprocal. Okay, so 3 over 4 inverted makes 4 over 3. So basically what you're doing is you're just flipping your fraction, right? You're changing the numerator to the denominator and vice versa. So let's do a little reciprocal practice. Okay. And again, if you want to pause the video and try to do some of these problems on your own, feel free. So reciprocal practice. So if I have 5 over 7, right? This inverted or reciprocal is going to make 7 over 5. So again, 7 moves to the top, the 5 moves to the bottom. What happens if you have the fraction 1/2? Okay, go ahead, try pausing the video, writing the reciprocal. So that is just going to become 2 over 1, or aka just plain old 2. Right? Again, let's try one more. Let's say 3 over 2. So that is just going to become 2 over 3. So again, notice that one answer is improper and one answer is just a regular. So all of this is helping us to divide fractions. So I've come up with some steps in order to help you. So here are our steps. The first thing you're going to do is you're always going to change any whole numbers and mixed numbers to improper fractions. Okay, that's the first step. You're going to keep the first fraction the same. Never change the first fraction. You will change then the division symbol to multiplication. And again, the third step is you will invert, aka flip, the second fraction. And then you just get to multiply the numerator by the numerator and denominator by the denominator. So keep, change, flip. So here's an example kind of worked out for us. So to divide, if I say 2/5 divided by 3/4, notice I kept, right? I'm going to keep my first fraction. I'm going to change my division to multiplication. And then I'm going to flip my second fraction. And all I did was multiply 2 times 4, which gives me 8, and 5 times 3, which gives you 15. So why do we have to do this? So let's kind of take a look at a problem and kind of show in pictures what's happening. So here's 1/4 divided by 2. So essentially what you're doing is you are taking 1/4, right? So here's a picture that is divided into fourths, and then we want to divide this 1/4 by 2. So that means that if I cut this into 2 pieces, right, notice that my 1/4 becomes smaller, okay? So again, let's flip this and see kind of what happens. So, oops, we're going to change out of my highlighting. So this will become 1/4. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite this problem as 2 over 1. So again, I'm going to keep 1/4 the same, right? I'm going to change my division to multiplication. And remember that multiplication can either be a dot or an X, it doesn't matter. And then I'm going to flip the 2 over 1 to make it 1/2. So notice that if I multiply 1 times 1, I get 1, 4 times 2, I get 8. So when I divided a fourth into 2 pieces, essentially what I got is 1/8. So this becomes 1/8, and this little piece is now 1/8. And together, they do give us 1/4. And that's essentially what we're doing when we're dividing things out. Okay, so let's try another one that's kind of similar to this. All right, so 1/6 divided by 12. And again, go ahead, try pausing the video, see if you get the answer correct. All right, so if you tried pausing the video, this is how we should have worked this out. So 1/6, again, divide sign, 12 over 1. So I'm going to keep 1/6 the same, change this to multiplication, and this becomes 1 over 12. I will then multiply my 1 times 1 to get 1, and I will multiply 6 times 12 to get 72. So this answer will just be 1 over 72. All right, let's try another example. What about this one? 3½ divided by 6. Again, go try and pause in the video and try to answer this question. So the first thing you should have done is you should have changed the mixed number to an improper fraction. So 3 times 2 is 6. 6 plus 1 gives me 7 over 2 divided by 6 over 1. Again, 7 over 2, we're going to keep the same. Division becomes multiplication, and again, we can either use the x or we can use a dot, and then 1 over 6. 7 times 1 is just 7. 2 times 6 gives me 12. So my answer is 7 over 12. All right, let's try one more. What happens if my whole number is first? So 8 divided by 3/8. So again, try pausing the video and trying this one on your own. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite 8 as 8 over 1, divide by 3 over 8. 8 over 1 stays the same, multiplication, and then 8 over 3. 8 times 8 gives us 64 over 3. So if you wrote that as your answer, congratulations. If you went one step further and you wrote it as a mixed number, let's go check out what that is. So 3 goes into 64. So 3 goes into 6 2 times with no remainder. So we bring down the 4. 3 goes into 4 1 time with a remainder of 1. So this would be the same thing as saying 21 1/3. So if you wrote that as your answer, you are also correct. And that is how we multiply and divide fractions.